Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Our co-host, Barbara, is on her way to Germany, but she was just well right before the show. And I have my co-host, Kelly, here. You there, Kelly?
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Great. Okay, now, Kelly, being that these are guests that you are familiar with, why don't you introduce them?
All right. I have my friends Christina and Rachel Carey with us tonight, and they're here to share their story with our Overcoming Adversity series, and we're on part 5 tonight. Can you believe that we're on part 5 already? But we have been talking about so many things, and, it's been an incredible journey. So why don't you lead us into what we're going to be talking about tonight, Christina?
Okay, I'll start off, and then, Rachel, did you want to say hi?
Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
I'm a little shy, so I don't know.
Oh, that's okay. We're glad to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'll start off, and then after that, I'll let Rachel share, and then we'll continue on so then you guys can ask questions. So I will start off with Romans 8:28. I really love to start off with a verse. It's very important to me. So Romans 8:28, and we know God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them. And that's important to me because I know that everything that happens in life, whether good or bad, however way you want to look at it, in the end, there will be a purpose. It's how you look at it, how you walk through the fire, what you learn from it, and what you're going to do with it. So that's how I look at it. And everything that I have shared with you so far, I have used it in some sort of way, and I've always led it and pointed it to the cross. Yes, they have been very painful, a lot of times painful, but I got through it. And the other part I wanted to share is what providence is, and it's knowing God is good, and he is in control, and even in the midst of the storms, because he is the ultimate one that is in control, even when you feel that he isn't. The other thing that I wanted to share is, and who knows but that you come to your royal position in such a time as this. And that was from Esther 4:14. And that one was really important to me because what I'm going to share tonight and what Rachel is going to share tonight, I had to really, really be in prayer. I really had to step it up. I really had to be not that I didn't before, but it was really, I really had to in this season. And so Esther stuck out for many reasons. The other part is Ruth. Ruth 1:16 through 17 is to be a virtuous woman. She's loyal and she's dedicated. And I really feel that I am loyal and I am dedicated. And I really try not to cry. Love requires sacrifice. When I see those specific words, I do think of the cross, and you guys know that I say that a lot. But that's how I genuinely feel. Because when I look at that, I see true, genuine love. And I really want to honor that. Christ makes us complete. And I know that for each one of us, we have to go and love others like he loved us. And we need to meet people where they are, because that's how you show love. Whether you disagree with them doesn't mean that you don't love them. You're still giving them truth, and you're still giving them love. God doesn't always agree with what we do, but he still gives us unconditional love. And it goes back to what I had spoke about when I spoke at one of the events, is he would leave the 99 for the one. And because he loves us. He loves you that much. And so that was really, these were really important to me, that stuck out for me today. And so I also wanted to share this. And I wanted to say to my dearest love, 29 and a half years ago, I took your hand to join in nurturing the garden of our life. I vowed my loyalty and my love for you. I begin with you a lifelong of adventures, of planting new seeds and growing in new directions. I pledged myself as your friend and companion, your helpmate, and your lover through all seasons of our lives. You, my darling, have been my strong You've been uplifting. You are my love. We have been through so much, and we've also have grown since July 22nd of 2000. On the day that we said I do, you are my best friend and my love for life. We've been through so many tragedies. You've carried so much weight. You've held my hand. Even when it was hard to carry yourself. You have loved me unconditionally. But I've also loved you unconditionally. We've been there for each other when our grandparents have passed away, trying to be strong for our families when it was hard to be strong for ourselves. Because when a part of them have gone, a part of us goes too. When our parents passed away, that was very difficult for both of us. You have been so much. The vision I have is being in a huge forest of fire. The coals are hot, the flames are high, but I look around and want to just dance as I hear the sound of a symphony play. I am very peaceful. I hear drums. I stop for a moment. I stop dancing. And then I begin to cry out to God. God, what's happening? I want to see, and I have wisdom. Be humble. I need strength. Look, God, I see scars. I see shame. Please, God, bring everything to light. No matter the pain, I want you to have all of me, my heart, my soul, and mind. Break the chains of brokenness in all things. And I lay it at your feet, Lord. Just glorify your name. God showed me so much in these last 19 months. We've had growth, pain, struggle. However, I can say, praising God, that we have not called it quits. It has been extremely hard. I pray all the time. I pray for boldness. I pray to be courageous so I can stand for truth and fight for others, even if it means to sacrifice myself. If God has put me in position, it is for a purpose. I ask God for patience and to teach me ways to be more loyal to you, to God. I just want to honor Him in all that I do, with all of me, and to search me and to remove anything that is not of you. I dedicate my life to Him. I just want to be used by Him. I won't quit when things get tough. I will work hard. I trust fully in God. I know you have huge plans for my life, and I only want what you want for me. I want to continue to live out the calling and the purpose that you have for my life. When I prayed that prayer, a lot of things happened. When they talk about make sure that I know last week I said, make your prayers bold. Well, I did. And some things that came out to me, my husband told me leading up to 2 years ago, he had shared with me that I had loved God more, or I loved him more than I loved God. And I really thought he was going crazy because in my head, I thought that could never be possible. But then I had a dream that I needed to give all of myself to God. In this dream, there was a clear window. Jesus was on one side, and me and a group of people were on the other. And we were literally trying to get to Jesus, and we couldn't. And I kept telling them, you have to give it all to him. We have to give it all. But in reality, that was for me. It wasn't for anyone else. It was for me. I mean, it's for everyone. But at that moment in time, that was for me. Because I thought I was giving it all to him, but I have a habit of taking it back. Here, God, take it. Wait, let me have it back. So I had that dream, and then I had learned that I need to fully give it to him. And then we were getting ready to leave Florida. We were doing food ministry, and this beautiful lady was saying goodbye to us, and she had put something in my hand, and she said, I had been praying for you, and God said that I need to give this to you. And I was like, okay. And I didn't know what it was yet until I opened my hand. And as I opened it, she said, God wants you to know that he is first in your life. He is your father. He is your husband. And he is your everything. And at that moment in time, I didn't understand what she was saying. I didn't know what that meant until now. "19 months later," because I actually shared this story in, I believe, July when I spoke. My life changed. And then I will give it to Rachel.
Okay.
Rachel, How
Yeah.
did our life change?
What was it, in October of 2017? Are you talking about that time?
Mhm.
Um, that was the point in October. It was the summer, that summer, I believe, when our youngest came out as being transgender. And I don't know, I reacted to it with, I don't know, I was just being so mean, and I don't know, I guess I was just kind of, it's hard for me to say because it's so meaningful to me too when they came out, that I knew that for the longest time that I was the same way. And when they came out, they gave me the courage to finally, that was the tipping point, because everything had been boiling up until this point. The secret that I have kept since I was a child inside me. And it was just building so long, and up to a point where I just didn't have a way to escape. And so I finally, at that point, I knew I had to release it. And I knew I had to expose myself for who I truly am. Because I felt that I couldn't hurt anybody else anymore, especially myself. I was to the point where I was basically just clinically depressed, suicidal, feeling just worthless, and not being able to just enjoy my family and my wife and everything else. So that October, I believe it was around Halloween time, was when I actually told Christina that I am transgender. So it was a life-changing moment, because I thought I was going to lose my family and my wife and everything that I had, or we had built to that point, because of so many things I've read online and so many things that I've heard from other people that I have conversed with, kind of like feeling out about, how I can do this, how I could come out, and what would be the repercussions of it. So thought I was prepared. I thought I was ready to lose it all. Because on the other hand, continuing on with this was basically, I was facing just misery and death. I was just in that state of mind at that time. And, people call it a rock and a hard place. Well, I call it a hard place in death. So it's like I didn't know what to do, so I just finally just came out and told Christina about it. And so that, in the last years, was actually what she and I and our whole family, I mean, when somebody transitions, they don't do it by themselves. Everybody around them actually transitions with them. Anybody that you have interacted in the past, anybody that you interact with in the present, and anybody that you interact with in the future is all part of the transition in some way. It affects everybody. It's just not the person that's transitioning. It affects everybody that you talked to, touched, just everybody in some certain way. And I didn't realize that until, a few months ago. It didn't really hit me as hard as it did now, as it did, in the beginning. So that's it, I guess, in a nutshell. To begin with, my big secret that I had revealed to Christina that literally just, it was like an atom bomb dropping. We call it the big bomb day. So, and it's like her life had changed in an instant. That sound about right?
Yeah, it changed dramatically. And so I had to process, and I couldn't right away process. I was trying to, so never tell a girl that she looks like a Disney princess. Because someone said, oh my gosh, you look like a Disney princess. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Disney and I'm just going to live at Disney. I can't handle this. I just need to go away, because that was my go-to at that moment. I mean, I did go to Disney, but not to live there or be a Disney princess. But I just needed a place where where nothing was wrong. Everything was perfect, but we know that it's not perfect in Disney. But in my head, I just needed to get away. And it was nice. We took our goddaughter and we met friends. It was nice. However, some people thought that I went into hiding. Excuse me, sorry. But what I did was, because I also was in and out of the hospital with my mom as well, because she was very sick. And I was also on, I think that January that came up, I went on leave, sort of on leave. I can't remember exactly, because I had gotten sick as well. I had hurt my back. So I was in transitionings in other areas. So what I would do is I would listen to sermons online. I stayed connected to pastors, or like I told you, I have a spiritual mom, good friend, other friends. My big thing that I did to cope was music. Music was really big for me, and I would literally blast it in the kitchen, and that was a coping skill for me. And there was a certain song that literally helped me through this whole process. And I can't even begin to tell you how much that helped. There's been a few other ones, but this specific one, because it reminded me of when I was little, and I had an aha moment of I was praising Jesus the whole time, because that was my go-to. When I was scared, I was praising him. When I was happy, I was praising him. When I was worried, I was praising him. The more that I was scared, I was praising him louder. I recall days of yelling and screaming his name louder and louder. This is what I was doing when I was a little girl. And so it brought back memories. And so when I had that aha moment, it clicked. And so today I struggle because we don't know what our future holds. Because when someone comes out like that, they don't know. The wife doesn't know. Most wives leave. So, and I didn't want to be that wife. I didn't want to say peace out, which I kind of did want to, but I heard a voice saying stay. And I had that confirmation many times to stay. And I got a lot of growth out of to stay. And when I talk about love, love means sacrifice. But it also means other things, like when you go to the doctor, which is frustrating, but when you don't understand everything, doctors should include the wife. Everybody, the husband and the wife. And then as the husband's transitioning, everybody needs to be included, because I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know where that was going to lead. I didn't know what was going to be today. Period. I can't say that I'm happy every day. I can tell you, I have to say, yesterday I was at church, and I loved that they asked us to pick 2 words and 1 word to begin 2019 and another word to end it. My word was distraught. My distraught started in 2017. But it definitely ends in 2019 to be bold to go, because I'm going to go wherever God leads me to go. And Rachel knows this. Now, her love means sacrifice. And she's already told me, whatever God wants you to do, you have to do it. So what's been good for me, though that it's been very painful, is we've been open and honest about our feelings, and it's been laid out on the table. But I also know that there are things that need to change, not just our situation, but in the beginning, like, we would go out, people would take pictures of Rachel. They would sneak pictures. Don't do that. That's rude. That's just, if you want a picture, ask for one. Or politely ask questions. Some people may be curious. There's people getting murdered because they're transgender, or they're gay, or they're lesbians. I don't have to agree with that lifestyle. However, I can still stand up for the fact that people are hurting human beings. Now that's wrong. God still loves them. Those are still God's children. I will not stand for that. So every time Rachel and I would go to the store, it was like going to the store and being Mama Bear. And that was difficult. It was more difficult when people would ask questions like, oh, so you're going to be the man in the house? No? That's a stupid question. Don't ask me that. That was hurtful. Seriously. When you're a woman and that happens, there's so many questions people want to ask because they don't know. And I understand that. But when you're the person that's happening to, there's so many emotions that take place. Your dignity, the sparkles in your eyes, they're gone. At church, as I tried really hard to put my head up, I just put my head down. But it was still a growing moment. Every day is a growing moment because we're growing together in this process, whether we stay together or we don't. We still have children. We still have a grandchild. We've have 30 years of togetherness, and we love each other very much. But a lot of things happen when the person starts to transition emotionally, mentally, physically, all of it. Excuse me. I had a aunt tell me that I'm allowing all this to happen. No, actually I'm not. I actually have no control over it. That's between Rachel and the doctor. I have no say in it, really. So what I encourage, don't walk away. Walk with someone. No one should ever still be left alone. I wanted to walk with Rachel on this journey. Because I also know how horrible it would be to just be left alone. In love, you don't leave people alone. You don't. And I believe that even if we were to not stay together, I know that we would still love each other and we would still be there for each other, but it wouldn't be the same way. Rachel, do you have anything to say?
As far as
what I just
future
said
together, because the things have changed so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that we have this bond together. We've gone through so many things together in life, and just that deep love for each other that even if we do separate by some chance, I think we still will be really good friends or best friends, and would have love and respect for each other just because of everything we've gone through. And things have changed so much, and on your part, it's true that you don't have a whole lot of say as being somebody on the outside looking, at somebody transitioning, because it's ultimately it's their journey of transitioning physically, mentally, and emotionally. But I do try to share certain moments of that transition with you and try to make decisions. But ultimately, it's almost like if you're trying to prevent somebody, like with the transition, as being a gatekeeper because you don't want that to happen to them. It's almost like kind of selfish on your part not to let them transition, especially in a moment where transitioning would actually help them become better emotionally, and just as an overall, when you transition, people transition because they have this mismatch between their sense of their gender and their physical appearance, and trying to bring those together into conformity to ease what we call dysphoria. And it can be so strong. The dysphoria can be so strong, it can be very debilitating, like depression or anxiety or panic attacks. And a lot of times that people that are in transitioning have all that. They have depression, anxiety, and panic attacks because they can't fully be themselves the way they see themselves. So, I agree that in the future that we will always be close together because we shared so much. We shared almost 30 years together. We shared children, our families, over half of our lives. So it's like all you've ever known. But at the same sense, it's almost like a metamorphosis where my old self, I'm shedding the outside exterior of my old self and taking the good parts of my personality and everything else, the memories and things that I've had in my I call it my previous life. So I'm no longer really that person that I was before I started transitioning. And at the moment, I'm becoming, in actuality, who I always should have been. Does that make sense? Because even I noticed that I have a different personality. I have different likes. I have different dislikes. I have different, it's almost like a total 180 from what I used to be. And Christina could probably back this up with pages and pages of testimony of yes. So, and I think it's that as my transition is progressing, I'm developing into the person that I should have been all this time. And it becomes different in a sense that I do have a lot of differences from what I used to be. And then, some of the things I have differences is, my sexuality and things that were also hidden from Christina, which she didn't know about, which now, it used to be before she just had to worry about other women, but now she has to worry about other women and other guys because I'm attracted to both. So I know that's frustrating for her and to learn something like that again, and that's just another hidden truth about myself that I felt that was not necessary in my opinion. And I know, not saying stuff like that about my sexuality and also about my gender expression early on in our relationship was probably the wrong thing to do. But I had made a choice early on when Christina was pregnant and we were going to have our first child that I would kind of push that timeline, that path aside and be, and try to be the best father that I never had. So I wanted to give that gift to my children. And I think about it now as like, I wouldn't go back in time. I would never trade my children for that opportunity. That thought really never even crossed my mind. So, that's how much I love my kids. And that's what I did. When Christina says that when you love somebody, you sacrifice things. So I sacrificed the last 27 years of my life for my wife and my children and even though it was kind of like a charade, how do you say it, that I was pretending, but it still was genuine. The love was still genuine. The caring for my family was still genuine. So that sacrifice of my alternate life that I'm trying to lead now, 27 years ago, could have happened. And that was for the love of my kids and for my wife. So I'm not sure if that answers the question or too much, or Christina?
Yeah. Can you, because I know that there are some people listening that may wonder, like, how do you, like, choose this? Like, what makes you feel that way? And you were describing earlier about what you were reading about. Could you explain that a little bit?
About the choice of what? A choice of not to transition or the choice to transition?
No, what was it? You wanted to do that testing.
Well, I saw this in one of the Facebook groups I'm in, and there was a lady on there with an article talking about how a lot of people think it's so easy to determine the biological sex or gender of a child versus chromosomes. The theory is that we all were taught that XX chromosomes created a female and XY chromosomes created a male. And so that was the education that was given to the public for years and years and years. Well, there's actually, and I just learned this, so it's kind of new, but there's actually a gene that exists on the Y chromosome that is called the SRY gene, which is actually responsible for the expression of male sexual traits, per se. So when that gene is present on the Y chromosome, then persons possessing the XY chromosome combination, naturally that gene gets expressed. Naturally, it's on the Y chromosome. It doesn't exist on the X chromosome that women have, or females, naturally. But there are cases where that gene actually comes off that Y chromosome and attaches itself to an X chromosome, so that a chromosomal female with an XX chromosome set can actually have the SRY gene. And when that's there, that starts to express male characteristics in a female. So it gets really complicated, and I don't think we have that much time to go into it, but it's interesting to see that being chromosomal male and female is different from being biologically male and female, from also the way that the fetus develops and you come out where your gender is male or female. So there's all this mix of combinations that can go on. And there are, and a lot of times you can mix chromosomes, that somebody will have an XXX chromosome, and somebody can have an XYY, and then someone can also have an XXY set of chromosomes, where you have that extra sex chromosome in there. And a lot of times those individuals are coming out as intersex, where they have the genitalia of both male and female. And unfortunately, in the days before, in the last century, where the doctors would determine the sex for the child and do surgical procedures to do that to them. And then later on, sometimes that child, doesn't express what the doctor thought they would have. So, but we know better these days. So I think it's about education about gender and sex and sexual orientation. They're all separate. They're all separate and different. And you can have a combination of one or the other. And I think that's the confusing part of today, is that people have this mentality is that when you're born a male, you're male and you should do male things, and this is how you are for the rest of your life. But we know that's not true, because it's not black and white. It's not just cut and dry like that anymore. There's a huge variation, what we call, I believe it's called gender fluidity. And even sexual orientation can be kind of fluid too, is that you're not really locked into certain labels. So, I mean, there's people that are non-binary. There's people that are gender fluid, which today they feel like they want to present female, and tomorrow they could want to present male. It's nothing right or wrong. It's just how they feel internally, separate from what their chromosomes say. And I think all that's been so suppressed in the binary male-female gender type of thing, where the stereotypical roles of men and women, basically force people into these roles where they may not feel comfortable. And that's where the depression and dysphoria and suicide comes in.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. I did some reading, and what I found was something really interesting. Obviously, in this day and age, you could argue that there's advantages to both genders. Like, men are able to get away with certain things, women are able to get away with certain things. what I noticed was I went back. I wanted to find out how many trans women existed before, like, say, 1800s, when women had no rights at all. If a man were to live in, say, the year, biological man were to live into the 1800s, and he decided he just, he wanted to be a woman, he was born in the wrong body, what would he do? Do you think he would still do that, even in an environment where there was no rights for women?
No, I don't think he would visibly go into it, because back then they would look at it. Because even today, probably 90% of the countries around the world are non-LGBTQ friendly. And they would look at it as an abomination and probably would burn you, just like a witch or something else.
So let me ask this the next question. How much is the law on your side? Like, for example, using the restrooms that you want, your name being changed. I mean, I don't know. I honestly, like, if somebody just refuses to insist on calling you a he, I mean, what can you legally do to that person?
Realistically, you can't really legally do anybody for using improper pronouns, much less than somebody walking up to you and cursing at you and using profanity. Although there are profanity laws out there that if a man curses in front of a woman and a child, that he can actually be arrested and fined for it. But using improper pronouns is just impolite. As far as name changes, my name has already been changed. My gender has already been changed legally in the state of Michigan. And Michigan actually has made that easier with the new Secretary of State, which now you just fill out a form and pay the fee, and it's done. I had to actually get my passport by getting a letter from my doctor stating that I have completed my transition, enough to, and then I get my federal passport, and then I take that to the Secretary of State as proof, and then they can do it. So it's made it easier legally to do that kind of thing.
Okay, but let me
started using. I'm sorry?
Right. Well, let's say you lived in the 1800s. I mean, what would you have done to transition?
Basically, what I think that in the 1800s, and there's always been, you could look back in history, is that most of them would be cross-dressers secretly. They would do it in private. They would probably wear female garments underneath their clothes. They would, back then long hair was acceptable. So they could grow their hair out long to feel more feminine. They could shave their face to be more feminine. They couldn't go out in a petticoat because that wasn't, morally back then acceptable, because, even in the United States, that factor of being morally acceptable in the face of your neighbors was huge. So dressing as a woman.
Now, I will tell you, because I'll tell
was
you that
not morally acceptable.
Because what I found was that it's interesting, because I also researched the anti-transgender side of it. It's so funny because I realized something kind of interesting. If you were to get 25 of your friends who are transgender all in one room, you could do that relatively easily. But these anti-transgender people, they say, oh, you all go out of it. Well, but you never see anybody who has ever really gone out of it on Fox News. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I mean, being transgender is something you're born with. It's not a choice. You can't really grow out of it. You can choose not to transition later in life. You can choose how far you transition, but I don't think it's something you grow out of. I know that a lot of cisgendered people, which means people that were born biologically male or female, and who also accept that and present the same gender as, quote unquote, the sex they were born as. They go through some periods when they're young where it's usually about 4 or 5, where they will cross-dress. Little boys will cross-dress, and little boys will play with dolls, and girls will play with trucks. And it's not until they start to develop more sense of watching their parents and other people is where they pick up these gender traits of saying, oh, you know what, I should be more like dad. I should be more like my mom. And as far as mimicking that fact. So I don't think there's a lot of people that actually detransition. Does it happen? Yes. But I think that once somebody is free to make that choice to transition and has that confidence to come out in public and transition, I don't think the choice of going back is something that they want to do. I mean, it's just like,
Okay.
you know, what did people do back in the day where if they were gay or lesbian? Did people externally go out and do that? It wasn't until probably, the 70s where they gained, in the 70s and 80s where that movement started getting increased. I mean, just like with women with their voting rights and everything back in the 60s where they wanted equal rights as men, it was looked down upon
Kelly,
by
do you
the
have any
white
questions?
male establishment.
Do you have any questions, Kelly?
Well, I was just thinking about, like, you know, when both of you were speaking, just like, you know, I was putting it together with Christina and all of the things that she'd gone through, you know, growing up and, you know, with, you know, fighting to get her education, you know, against the system that was trying to have her not graduate on time with, you know, the kids and all that going on. And, you know, then it was like, you know, she'd met you and had these kids and they're, you know, these wonderful kids and then going through losses together and then going through, you know, growing up basically together with you and going through so many things and then going through this journey. And it was, you know, I'm thinking, you know, you put your, you know, basically you went through, you know, this to have these beautiful children together and put this part of yourself on hold, making that sacrifice. But, you know, it was a sacrifice of yourself for this beautiful family, and you're not sure where your future together is going to end up being, and she's making this sacrifice so that you can have this freedom to be yourself now. And it's just like you're both making these, you know, beautiful but yet beautifully painful sacrifices for each other. And, you know, it's really touching my heart, you know, that you're both able to be there for each other in such deeply personal ways. And I mean, I'm tearing up that you guys, you know, have been together for so long and that no matter what happens, you guys are still going to be each other's rock and each other's best friend. And that counts for so much. I mean, I can't even tell you how many people that can't say that. Like, they can go through so much together and, you know, they end up hating each other for things that are so petty that, I mean, you guys are rising above that, you know, just being able to talk through things and to be able to see the beauty in each other and, you know, to be able to have a conversation and not be yelling and not be, you know, you guys are rising above it with God. And no matter what happens, you know, God is the center of it. And it is just truly amazingly beautiful. And, you know, I I'm in awe of everything that the both of you have been through and are triumphing, through.
Thank you. I do want to say we are not perfect. I definitely have had my moments.
I think we both had our moments. we had some pretty,
it
I would
hasn't
say,
been pretty sometimes.
knocked down or dragged up. Like we've had our moments where, it's not that shining thing, but we're human. We have emotions, and when emotions start flaring and taking over and dictating our actions is when people start to get in trouble. So I think now, and our ability to communicate with each other has been key in the instrumental of us staying together. So I know I wasn't honest with Christina 100% before my transition, but now I think I'm just too honest. I tell her everything.
And I am just like, excuse me?
I am. If I see a cute guy walking down the street, I'll say that, and she'll look at me, and I know she just wants to punch me, but I want to be honest with her. You know what? It feels so much better to be honest in saying things to people without being malicious.
Yeah.
And it feels so much better than to try to keep it aside or come up with some kind of lie or something to make that person feel good, because you won't remember that lie later on and you won't get caught.
Right.
But the truth is always the truth, and the truth will be the same now and 10 years later. So why not just be truthful? Because lies just end up hurting you in the end so much.
And truth always comes out, no matter what. To the viewers, I always say viewers, but to the listeners, the truth always comes out, no matter how you want to sugarcoat it, no matter how much it's hidden. Eventually, it comes out. The other part, Rachel and I, we were put on a pedestal in our marriage. And for us, we would look at each other and say, we are not perfect. Don't look at us. For certain people, not everyone, but just for certain people. And excuse me. And that was never put anyone on a pedestal. I had to learn that, because everyone can fail you. Anyone can. The only one that I look to is God, because He is unfailing. And one of the other things is, yes, I was extremely, extremely angry, sad, all the emotions, because it was like a death. And I had to say, I cannot make a decision when I'm angry. I cannot make wise decisions. And my wisdom has to come from God. It cannot come from people, because people were telling me to leave. Very few people told me to stay and follow what God said. And He did tell me to stay, which I thought was crazy, out of my mind, because I really wanted to pack my stuff and leave. But I stayed.
And I think that I can see that where I kind of did. I kind of did just pat Christina's husband up and just kind of killed him off, metaphorically speaking, where she's in the process of grieving for her husband because, he's no longer here, really. But
well,
I can see that for her. But I know that I've hopefully taken the best parts of him and incorporated it into me. The difference is that, I may look different, but the memories and things that we share are always going to be there.
Yeah,
well, we're about out of time. But
it went too fast. It went too fast. We can continue it next time, though, if you want to. Yeah.
We will. Well, thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Christina, and thank you, Kelly, for coming on.
Thank
Kelly,
you.
Yeah,
can you do the shout out?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. For those of you with us listening, we would really appreciate if you would like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Life, Laughter, Happiness Show, where you can now find over 300 of our episodes, including this one, when it will be published shortly on YouTube, and our other parts to this series you can catch right on up to where we are today. And we also would appreciate if you'd follow us on social media with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you'll find that we have daily activity on there, and you'll be up to the minute on what's happening. And we would love it if you join us every day with our show at the same time, same place. And tomorrow on Christmas Eve, you will find us with Karen Page on Psychic Night.
Oh, no. Actually, no, we will not. That's not true. Karen,
No?
Christmas Eve, we're taking off.
Oh, I thought we were taking Christmas Day off. We're taking Christmas Eve off?
Yeah, I figured everybody would be with their families, but I will tell you, I probably will upload a old Psychic Day tomorrow that you guys can listen to. I'm sorry about that. I figured you'd probably be with your family, Kelly. I didn't want you to take the time away to do a show.
And more cuddles with Mushu.
Hey, Mushu cuddles. Mushu cuddles. Great. That works for me. So, yeah.
Okay, you're okay with that, Kelly? You're okay with that?
Yep, that works.
Okay.
All right.
But you are,
so,
but wait a minute. We will be back for Psychic Day on Thursday, the 26th.
Hey, all right, day after Christmas.
Okay, so you are right about Psychic Day. You just were wrong about the day. Now, I don't know. I just felt that it was the oh God, I'm still thinking about my stripper bar comment. I think that I just lighten up everything so much, I mean, it's just okay. Do you want me to repeat it, or did you not want me to repeat it?
Probably not on the air, but
No.
Yeah, but
it's
hey,
just going to be
come
etched
visit us
in
at
everybody's mind.
And everybody's going to be, wondering what we're talking about. But, Merry Christmas and everything, They can keep wondering.
Now, Christina, I got to ask you something. I mean, when Kelly first came on the show, it was sort of – actually, let me give you a good analogy. Did you ever see Point Break with Keanu Reeves? I need to meet my notifications.
No, I never saw that.
Well, there's a movie where Keanu kind of plays a surfer, and what happens is he goes out and he surfs, and he kind of enjoys it so much that it's almost supernatural to that level. And when Kelly first came on, that was what it was like for Kelly. You know, it was like that. And I've noticed it at a few times when, you know, I've done the show. I've had certain cases of people that come on and then they want to come back and everything. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I noticed it with Kelly and I noticed it with Barbara. And I do see it in you a little bit when you do your series. I mean, am I right in saying that?
Not if you're gonna, okay, so if you're gonna put it like with the stripper thing, no, not with that. But mine is
No, that's not what I'm talking about. What does that have to do with strippers?
No, I've never been to one. No.
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, so no.
No, I'm talking about loving something so much that it seems like a supernatural thing. That you love doing the show so much that
what
it's
are you talking about?
It has nothing to do with the stripper bar. I want to know if you sort of experience a higher level of consciousness from doing this show, that it's sort of a higher level. Sort of.
So I do love this. I really do. I love taking the time and really thinking about, I love writing. I love the different subjects that I get to write about. I really love to pour in. I love to pray about it because I really seek of what God wants me to say along with what, you know, because I really like to start with a verse because I really believe that's meaningful. And as long as God is, you know, right there, that's what matters to me because ultimately it's really helping change lives. And, you know, it's also helping change your guys' lives as well as the listeners. You guys are hearing the stories. It's, you know.
So now you
maybe
can kind of understand a little. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
Well, you sort of understand how Kelly felt when she first came on the air. It was a real shock to her. I mean,
right.
I'm sure she told you about it, but you didn't really understand it until you got on the air. It was like, after Kelly was on the air once, I mean, you know, she goes, "Can I come back tomorrow?" You know, I mean, it was perfect then because I was just me. So, you know, she got to be the kid at the candy store every night with a sidekick. It was like, okay, then I introduced her as her co-host, and then she fell out of her chair, and then I get this phone call from her like after the show, and she goes, "Well, you introduced me as your co-host today. Can I come back tomorrow?"
No, I really like it. I enjoy being able to do that and think of other, you know, like for next week, I know that you guys probably want Rachel to come back, and that will be great. And think of some other things to talk about. And if you want me to come back after that, that's fine too. There's always something to really invest in and speak about, because that is something that I am venturing out into. I want to be able to public speak even more.
Have you gone out anywhere to public speak besides the show?
Yes, I have.
Great.
And I actually have an event coming up in February. And so that one will be a little tough for me because it's in honor of my mom. So, but I want...
If you're ever doing an event and you want to lighten the mood, bring up the stripper bar comment. That's the...
No.
Yeah,
I don't do... Nope. That's okay.
That'll go over well. Yeah. Yeah, right in the middle of
Sorry
church.
about that.
That'll go over well.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry
no,
about that.
no.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to joke around.
No. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, right in the middle of a
Well,
sermon. Yep.
Nope.
Yeah.
But no,
Yep.
I enjoy it. So I'm hoping that I can do more of those. So, yeah.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Well,
Good.
I think we're going to close this out, and I'm going to upload this, and I will send you a link to the show tonight so that you can put it on your Facebook page. Okay?
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you. And
All right. Well,
if I
thank
can
you. Thanks,
figure out how to
everybody.
get mine up and
Good night,
running
everyone.
again, I'll send you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank
Talk to you
you.
soon.
Yep.
Talk to you soon.